What's going on, guys? So today's video is going to be pretty interesting, I hope. So in front of me is the 2017 F450 King Ranch that we have. Still absolutely love the truck, but one thing I've noticed is, of course, with newer trucks comes newer technology, and some of that technology you kind of wonder if you're really going to like it, right? If it's technology that you need. And a piece of that technology actually comes on the 2023 GMC Sierra 1500 Denali that we have. Now, that piece of technology, at first, when I first saw it, when I was first out at the media events and I went to the vehicle events and test drove trucks that had that piece of technology, I was like, I'm not sure if I'm really going to care for it, honestly. It just seems like it's another gimmick. But now that we actually have owned a truck that has this piece of technology, which I'll tell you what it is here in a second, honestly, it's hard to live without. It's super cool, super functional, and it's something I like so much I want to actually add to my truck. And that piece of technology is a rear view mirror camera. Now, this piece of technology is definitely becoming more prevalent as a higher end option on many of your newer higher end pickup trucks. But it's definitely something that I didn't really buy into until, again, we owned a truck and we're using it, especially considering the fact that we have a small child and we have a child seat in the back, a booster seat, and it blocks the rear view mirror because we put it in the center, which is technically the safest place to put a child seat. So I actually told my wife, you know, my birthday recently passed by, and she said, what would you like for your birthday? And I told her, you know what, it would be cool to put a rear view camera mirror in the truck. So she got this for me. It's the Wolf Box edition. I don't specifically know, like, if this is the best out there or whatnot. I think that the OEM ones that come factory on vehicles is probably better than anything you can buy aftermarket, but it's going to be interesting to see. Now, I've already taken the mirror portion out and I've attached it to the rear view mirror on this truck, and I'll show you specifically what that looks like. But what's cool about this is it actually has a dash camera built into it. It has all sorts of cool features, and it's a touchscreen, which the touchscreen portion of this is definitely a difference over the OEMs. The OEMs typically don't have a touchscreen. There's buttons and menus on the bottom corner that you have to use to make adjustments to it. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this works. It records in 4K or 1080, night vision, parking monitor, GPS, G-force sensor, again, touchscreen. This is a 930 series. We paid for this. This was not a sponsored segment. My wife actually paid for it, and she got it for me as a gift. So I wanted to walk you through the process of getting it on. Now let me unbox what is still in the box, because like I said, I already took the mirror out, and this kind of flaps open. Let's see if I can figure it out here. This is where the mirror normally would be. You got your manual, you got your backup camera or your reverse camera. This is essentially what is used so you can use it as a rear view camera. Got these little rubber retainers, which I'll show you how those work here in a second. You have your plug to plug it in, and then you have your GPS antenna right here. So we're going to go through installing this and see how it looks. Okay, so inside of the truck, this is how the interior portion works. Basically, it attaches to your mirror. You simply put it in front of your mirror. This piece right here slides in and out. That's your dash camera. And then you have these little rubber bands that hold it in place around your actual mirror assembly. So it's secured really well. I don't ever imagine this thing falling off. Now, my dash cam that I have over here falls off maybe once every couple of months. It just kind of releases itself, and then I have to stick it back up there. That said, though, yeah, it attaches right here. This is your actual dash camera, and it slides in and out. And then your backup camera, of course, or your rear camera attaches to the back, and it's the same camera you use to look through the mirror. But this is how the assembly looks. And you can see the rubber bands right here that hold it in place over the mirror. And that's what I use for navigation if I'm using it on my phone and not on the navigation screen. We're going to go ahead and get all the wires ran, see if we can get this thing connected. Okay, so I'm looking at the wiring harness here. You have your power, which is a standard 12-volt connection. So hopefully you have a truck that has 12-volt connections. Otherwise, you'll have to hardwire this to your vehicle, which would be kind of unfortunate if you don't want to have to do it. Secondly, you have your backup camera. Now, it has this red wire. Typically, the red wire would be used to connect to like a reverse light. So it knows when you're going into reverse mode and it turns into a backup camera. I don't know if I need to do that here simply because this is always going to essentially be a rear view camera. I don't need a backup camera mode per se. So we're going to see what happens here and if I actually need this, because I still have the factory cameras on the truck to use for backup cameras and things like this. For me, this is simply going to be used as a rear view camera mirror. Now, I'm actually going to place it on the inside of the glass right there below the factory bed cam. It'd be cool if I could simply just turn that one on all the time, but I can't. So we're going to see how I can mount this up. First, I'm going to connect it just to make sure everything works the way that it's supposed to, and I can get an image on the camera once I get power to it and I plug this in. Okay, so I have it connected and it's pointing out the front right now. I have the camera plugged in and the power plugged in, and I simply have it ran down here. But to connect it to the back camera, I simply swipe it, and now it's on the back camera. So this camera will be positioned back here, and yeah, it should work out really well, I hope. You know, it's pretty clear as far as motion and movement. It's not as fluid as the OEM camera is on like the GMC, so that's a big difference. But you know, I think it'll work out well. But yeah, I just need to run everything. Basically, what I wanted to ensure here was that the red wire coming off of the harness did not need to be connected for it to work. That was something I definitely didn't want to have to deal with. So it looks like it doesn't. You can see that it's already recording up here. Again, the dash cam is right here, so it looks out the front window, and it actually rotates and moves a little bit, so I can move the assembly, which is nice. So it's not positioned incorrectly, and then I can move my mirror to make other little adjustments to it if I want as well. But that should work out pretty well. Now I just got to get all the wires ran. I got to get everything moved to the back, mount it up, and hopefully this works as well as I'm hoping it will. Okay, so what I'm doing right now is I'm running the power wire up here, tucking it up here around the edge here, and then down here. You can see where the wire's right here. I'm going to run it under here, then under to my little 12-volt accessory box that I added down there, so I have 2 more cigarette lighter adapters. And I'm going to unplug one of them, which goes to the other dash camera that I have up here, because I won't need that one anymore. So it's just the process of getting this rubber pulled back slightly, like that, and feeding the wire through it and routing it all around here so it's not interfering with anything. Okay, so a relatively straightforward wiring job turned into a relatively complex rewire job. So the upfitter switches, which a lot of people know if you've watched my channel or really any channel in Super Duties, are already powered and relayed from Ford. So you have the wires inside of your hood, and then you simply need to connect a run inside of your dash or wherever you want the wires to terminate to, so you can provide power to something such as, you know, the backup camera, or in my case, this little cigarette lighter plug adapter that gives me USB as well as 2 additional plugs. Well, I had noticed that this was no longer working, and this is where I was going to plug in my new dash camera. So what I ended up doing was tracing the wire back under the hood, finding out that the actual wire that was there, that I had put there, this wasn't a factory wire, had moved enough that the ground had broken. And I was really fortunate, because if the ground and the positive had both broken and touched, it would have popped a breaker or possibly caused other issues. So I traced the wire back. Let me show you. That's actually the wire right there, and you can see the pinch right there. I had traced the wire back to where it was actually broken, and I removed the whole thing and I reinstalled a new piece of marine grade wire in here now. So I shouldn't have any issues with that. It's all wired back in place. I just used a voltmeter, made sure I got 12 volts going through the system. I was only getting 1.25 volts with the other wire, which was indicative of a wire that was broken or a bad contact. So now that I got that done, I can put everything back in place and I can continue with the rear camera installation. So the things that can make you so frustrated about a project are when you do everything the right way, you got everything just about ran, and stuff like this happens. No rear camera detected. I've checked my power wire. I've actually been working at this for about 30 minutes just trying to figure out what's wrong. No matter how many times I disconnect it, reconnect it, no matter how many times I plug it in or out up here, nothing. It does not detect the rear camera. It worked originally. Well, actually, I take that back. When I first installed it to test it, it did not come on. And then I messed with the plug a little bit, and I figured maybe it needed to identify it, and then it worked. And I showed you that earlier, but now that I got everything ran, or except the back camera, it's not working. I mean, the dash camera function works fine. All of this stuff seems to be working fine. I just have no ability to view the back camera, which is really annoying. And I don't know what could be causing the issue. Don't know if it's a resolution issue. I don't know what it is. I'm gonna have to reach out to them or probably just send the dang thing back. This kind of stuff is what frustrates me when you get a brand new product, and it's not as if a rear view camera is, you know, like a brand new thing. I tried resetting the setup. Rear camera not detected. I don't know what is going on with it, but super frustrating. So probably got to send it back, see what's going on. Anyways, can't finish the video. That's frustrating. I will see if maybe replacing this or contacting them nets me some type of a result. Okay, so there's a section talking about if your system is unable to see the back camera, and it says that it's probably this connection right here, which I've already checked, and it's all aligned. You got a little groove here that you have to line up with that, and that aligns perfectly. I checked the whole cable to see if there were any hard corners or hard angles that would cause a kink, and there's none of that either. So there's nothing in the cable that would at least indicate to me as if there's some type of a damaged cable. The camera itself looks fine. I don't see anything wrong with that. And yeah, it's not working. It's not finding it. I don't know if it's a problem with the mirror itself or the display portion, or if it's a problem with the camera. It worked one time and it hasn't worked since. So still trying to figure out what the problem might be. I'm going to contact them. I'll probably send it back and get a different one, because I hate just dealing with these kind of problems. You know, it's one of those things that you get a cool toy in, especially when your wife gets it for you, and then you find out that it doesn't work because of some type of a manufacturer's defect. Electronics, and according to, you know, their Amazon reviews, they sell a ton of these things. So definitely cannot recommend Wolfbox until we figure out what's wrong with this system, because you might find yourself in a scenario where you install quite a bit of it and then it doesn't work. But that's what you run into anytime you're dealing with consumer electronics, I suppose. Anyways, we're gonna figure out what this problem may be stemming from. My gut tells me it's the camera system itself back here. It could be the display. I have absolutely no way of knowing. I don't have any other cameras that would plug into that AV port that's on there, so I can't do that type of troubleshooting, unfortunately. Anyways, guys, I wish I had better news for you. If I can get this thing up and running, I'm going to be super happy, because, like I said, ever since we've had one in our GMC that comes stock with the Denali package, or at least I think it does with that package, you know, we've been using the heck out of it, and it works really well. It's just a really, really convenient feature to have. So I was hoping I'd have a full install video for you today. And unfortunately, this Wolfbox G930 has some type of a defect, and we're going to work through it to see what it is, and I will let you know when we complete the install. Guys, if you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up. We'll talk to you again very soon.